Welcome to another, I was almost going to see another version. Are you kidding me? Another show, Finding Your Motivation. God, another episode. Where's my head at these days? So I'm Steve Stazak. My show is, wow, I need some sleep. I was going to share my show is Leader Speakers. That's my company. The show is called Finding Your Motivation. And my company is Leader Speakers, who sponsors this show. What do I do? Why am I doing it? Well, I chose to get in the motivational world about 10 years ago with no promise of any kind of job or anything. I took a contract job as a sales trainer because I was in sales most of my life. I'm like, okay, there's the next logical step. So I did that. It was only a 3-month contract with Husqvarna, went out west, did a bunch of shows, basically. And I then came back and found my way into some public speaking, or I should say seminar gigs, and then got on with a couple leadership companies. Then I formed my own. So what do I do? What do we do at Leader Speakers? We help you not only get over your fear and trepidation of public speaking, but we help people become more effective speakers, selling from the stage, selling audiences, which is selling from the stage. Even if you're in sales, our training can help you. Trust me, it works, folks. In any case, I have guests. So it's a little bit of a cornucopia here. Sometimes I have a co-host, but I'm in between co-hosts right now. And I have this lovely girl who's a professional soccer player. Her name is Brianna Curtis, and she's 24 years old. She's a Colorado native. So she's a professional soccer player over in Europe. That's pretty cool. She's also the CEO and founder of this really interesting club called the Heartfelt Club. So basically, I'm gonna ask her about it. I'm gonna have her sort of reiterate her background here because it's pretty interesting. You speak 5 languages?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
So I speak Italian, Spanish, Romanian, American Sign Language, and then I'm learning
Oh,
French.
you throw in the American Sign Language.
I know, I have to do it.
But well, where do you play soccer in Europe? What's your base?
Yeah, so as of right now, I'm playing, actually, I switched over to Scandinavia, so I'm playing in Iceland.
Oh my God.
Yes, so it's interesting.
There was a movie on Netflix, real interesting movie, real off the wall dark comedy. Oh my God, I can't even remember that name. It's a cop movie and it's got 2 great actors in it. And they end up in Iceland for a little bit of the movie. It's just it's a real parody type thing, but it is so cool. And they end up in Iceland. The only other time I've heard of Iceland mentioned was something else I was watching the other day. In any case, Iceland, okay, not that little crazy little weather girl out there or whatever she is, climate change, whatever she is. Is she from Iceland or where's she from?
Are you talking about Greta?
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg? I believe
she's from one of those Scandinavian countries.
She's from Scandinavia.
Right. Okay. Well, that's that with that. But let's talk about now. One thing I want to ask is so she deals with her company, and I'm going to let her tell you about it because it's not going to do any justice if I do. Okay. It's called the Heartfelt Club. She's a founder of the Heartfelt Club. She's only 24 years old and she's already starting this really, really neat organization that helps men. I'm going to let her tell you about it.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for giving me this platform because I could talk for days about the Heartfelt Club.
We've only got 40 minutes, but maybe we can have some other episodes.
Yes. Well, so we actually kicked off June 1st of this year while I was playing overseas.
No pun intended with the soccer, right?
Yeah, kickoff. Here we go. But yeah, so it is a health and wellness brand focused on men's mental health. And our goal is to stop the stigma by starting the discussion about men's mental health.
Expand on that. Start the stigma. It sounds like a slogan. Sounds like a...
Yes, I'm big on slogans. So basically, it came to my attention that, 3 out of every 4 suicides are male. So
how did you find that statistic and where did you find that?
Yeah, so honestly, like as I was a junior in college is when I started to lose people to suicide. And
Oh,
Majority of them were male. And so that kind of stuck with me. And then during quarantine, I really started to have discussions about mental health. I have a minor in psychology, so I've always kind of been in this world. And I started to have more discussions with men about mental health.
right.
And it was really interesting to hear them be like, yeah, I've never talked like this with anyone, or, oh, I've never expressed this emotion because it's not, allowed by society.
I can't believe that stigma is still going on these days with all this sensitivity and openness and all this wonderful stuff. Now, when I grew up, it was a different story.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but and we still did. But in any case, it just seems like these days you wouldn't think that. But anyway,
Yeah, no, completely.
so
And
it is.
honestly, you're right, because I would say within this past year is when things have started to really shift. So like I talk to people in the UK a lot, Australia, they have really big pushes for mental health as of right now.
Mm,
But so I started to I started to do some research, and I stumbled upon, Movember, NAMI, which is their organizations that are already fighting the good fight for mental health. And I just started cold calling all of these foundations just because I was curious about, resources that were specific towards men, because they were hard for me to find. So I could only imagine if I was a male and I was struggling, how hard it would be to actually find those. And I got connected with some awesome people in Movember. Movember is the foundation that actually does the No Shave November. They're big on the mustaches and all that.
a lot of kooky stuff out there. A lot of fun stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Movember.
Yes. So that started in Australia. It's a huge charity.
And so I'm missing something here. Why the mustache in Movember? What is that? What's that?
You know what? They do like fundraisers. So
Uh-huh.
all of November, you can like make a statement or do something as a
Oh,
fundraiser.
they just have a certain amount of time allotted in a month to this
Yes.
cause. Okay.
Yes. And so like even when I was in high school, people would do No Shave November and see how, high school boys, they can't even grow mustaches, but they would try their darndest, and then you'd shave it and
Right.
get some, donate some money towards it. So anywho, so as I was exploring this, I'm coming up on all these crazy statistics. And I'm like, how do we get this conversation to the public? So, being a 24-year-old, as I am, I was like, apparel, apparel, apparel. We need to get some hoodies that have some cool statistic. It has a QR code on it, and it actually features a local artist's artwork. So each piece of apparel that my company releases not only starts the conversation, as simply as, hey, what does 3 out of every 4 mean? Why is that on your hoodie? And you can be like, actually,
Right.
this
It
is
leads
what
them
it
in.
means. But with the QR code, you can actually scan the QR code on the apparel. It'll take
Right.
you to our website, which is a hub of resources, information, dialogues that can actually help men really start to navigate their mental health.
Nice. So once again, why you? Why do you take it? What's your interest in this? Was there somebody that you knew?
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, growing up, I'm a very empathetic person. I've always been really invested in things like this. I've had a lot of discussions about mental health since I was little, throughout college and everything. But it's kind of interesting because I would say losing Robin Williams to suicide
Oh God. Well,
was
I think he might have had,
painful.
I don't think it was that he couldn't express himself, but anyway.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of that, there's a veil of, hey, he's a really, outgoing,
Talented
happy-go-lucky
guy.
guy. He's not really getting checked on. And then, as I said, I lost, multiple men to suicide. So one of my old soccer coaches actually ended up losing his life to suicide. And that was a
Hmm.
huge turning point because, obviously he was very impactful in my life. But
Right.
again, he was not someone who I was like, oh, he's depressed, and so as I started to go through college, I actually, as simply as altering social media, started opening up my guy friends and having these discussions, and allowed them that space to kind of be like, hey, I actually, I am really sad. And that was kind of groundbreaking in my own world, just to provide them that space and see how much it impacted them.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those YouTube videos. So she interviews some of her interviews are on YouTube, folks.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So one
you
thing
can
with,
just, you can just go to, I guess, put in Heartfelt, right?
yeah.
Get pretty fast.
Yeah, so on YouTube, we do have the Heartfelt Clubhouse, is what we call it. And that is to have candid discussions about mental health. And that just allows people, and we've had women on there, we have had men on there, just to share their stories with mental health, in hopes that, someone else seeing it will want to open up about their mental health.
Right.
Just to really start the discussion and honestly normalize talking about it, because the reality is depression, anxiety, they can make you feel very isolated, but there's a commonality in that suffering, right? Like, we all have the same emotions. We're all human. We're going to go through things,
Right.
and there should be an opportunity to support each other there.
So everybody faces anxiety sometime in their life, different points in their life. Hopefully it's minimal amounts, like, when you're going to perform something, or you have to, in my case, I shouldn't say in my case, but some of the people that come to me have a real anxiety about speaking in front of people. I mean, it's huge. I mean, 92% of the people in the United States have an issue speaking in front of an audience. And when I tell people what I do, they're just like, oh, okay. Like they can go, like they're just going to jump right out. They don't have a problem with it. I guess they don't think they do it enough, where they have to get trained.
Mm-hmm.
But it's huge with people. I mean, I've had people coming in my classes, a couple of females that said, God, before this class, I was unbelievably nervous. You could tell certain people, like, I had a kid this weekend that I trained, and he's 26 years old, and he was nervous at the beginning, but as he went through, I mean, he was so nervous, he was actually a stutterer, and his jaw would click. And I asked him why, because there's triggers for that stuff. And he told me, I'm not a psychologist, by any means, but either is Tony Robbins, what he thinks he is. He doesn't even have a college degree.
I know, I was just going to say that.
But he studied under a guy named Jim Rohn, who is pretty much an icon in the business. I mean, Tony Robbins has some, but I don't want to get off track there. So what was I mentioning?
Oh, so he has a stutter.
Oh yeah, the guy had a stutter, and it did get a little bit, he was more confident, he was smiling, but everybody's got most people have an issue. Now, can you get up and talk in front of people? Yes. Can you get up and talk about a subject you're not familiar with? No, a lot of people can't do that. Mm-hmm. And you get up there and try to sell the audience, really try to persuade the audience. So in any case, but that's just a thing that people need to get over, right? That's an anxiety.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really cool, like, that you have this platform, because if you think about it, so let's take therapy, for example. Therapy, how I like to describe it to people, and we actually, at the Heartfelt Club, we sponsor a man a month and pay for his therapy. So we put someone through therapy. We actually then—
Where do you get the money? Where does the money come from?
Yeah, so as of right now, basically every time a piece of apparel is purchased, we take a percentage for donation every year, and then the remaining money we will put towards sponsoring our man of the month, as we call it, and put them through therapy.
Oh, so it's one therapy a month. Okay.
Yes, sir. And
where do you sell the jackets?
So we have that'll be found on our website, which is www.heartfeltclub.com.
Which incidentally you can go to and find out more information.
Yes.
Not that she's not going to give you a great amount right now, but after the fact,
yes, we're going to
get this stuff.
Link everything. Yeah, perfect. So as we talk about therapy, sometimes people are very hesitant to get into it, or money is always a huge issue, in all honesty, as people, look towards stepping in. But I describe therapy or counseling kind of as having a ball of yarn. And as you're talking with the therapist, you're unwinding that ball of yarn, right? To better understand yourself. And when these people come to you and, express their anxiety and their fears of public speaking, you're really helping them like unwind that and release that anxiety or that big ball of yarn so they can better perform, right?
Right, exactly. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and so
I'm gonna use that in my presentation when I start it. I'm gonna say, hey, look, you guys have a big, maybe I'll bring in some balls of yarn and I'll throw it out to them and say, look, this is your ball of yarn. By the time you win this course, yeah.
That's perfect. So that's one of the
funny
things of the Heartfelt Club and therapy in general is just helping people better understand what it looks like, what the resources are, because understanding is a lot of power, whether that's mental health, whether that's public speaking, whether that's your sport, it provides so much power.
How do these people come to you? How do they find you?
So, yep, as of right now, I would say a lot of the traffic is through Instagram, social media in general.
So you post on Instagram a lot.
Yes. So posting on Instagram, we have our YouTube podcast, and men will just reach out actually and be like, hey, I would love to be on the next episode. I have a story I'd like to share. Or linked in our bio and all of our platforms is, the form to do Man of the Month. So I'll get submissions requesting for us to pay for their mental health for that month. And so then we just kind of have that traffic there.
So maybe I missed something. How do you fund the show?
So how do I fund the Heartfelt Club?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, so honestly, when I kicked off in Iceland, I only had like $30 in my bank. So that's what we started with. We do drop shipping. So what that means is as soon as an order comes in, that's when the product gets created. So as the money comes in, the product gets created. And then I am not currently paying myself at all.
So that's what drop shipping means.
Yes, sir. So that's kind of a little added bonus to the Heartfelt Club is we're technically environmentally friendly because, I don't have a warehouse full of stuff.
No, that's good to know. Okay. I never really understood that concept. I thought drop shipping was just taking the order and drop shipping it. So that means you get the order and you make up the order of the product or what have you, and then send it out there. So you're not tying up your money.
Yes, exactly. So as of right now, as the money comes in, as orders come in, which I will say, I'm very pleased with our business so far. We've received a lot of traffic. People are enjoying the products. But as the money comes in, I'm really not placing it anywhere other than donations and recycling it back into the Heartfelt Club for upcoming initiatives. Yeah. So
here's the thing. It's amazing what you can do when you really believe in something. You said you only had $30. I've been in some instances, you think you need this big cushion, but if you really believe in something, then that's going to work. You're going to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really great.
When I was in college, I remember vividly watching this YouTube video, and it became the YouTube video I watched before every game to this day. And it's called Fail Harder. And it's basically about, doing just that, right? Like if you're trying to learn a new skill, go as fast as you can, do it as hard as you can. You're going to fail that much harder, but you're going to get that much better when you succeed. Right.
I get it.
Yeah. And so that was really the essence, because some people were like, weren't you scared to start a business? And no, because if it fails, it fails. And I start again. And, I think with this cause, it's also something to me that cannot fail. Like we've gotten to sponsor 2 men and put them through therapy. So already say it ends tomorrow and everyone decides the Heartfelt Club is canceled, I will have achieved my goal of helping someone, right?
I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's only going to grow from here.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Is it going to, you don't have to call me sir.
Sorry, bad habit.
I don't need that much respect.
Yeah. Hey, guy.
There you go. Well, something like that.
But yes, I agree. I think especially with, each podcast, people are just opening up more and more, and it's always really exciting to share their stories. And more people are wanting to share their stories. More men are wanting to step into therapy. And I think that's really exciting to see.
Oh, so now you're getting men.
Yes. Yes. So as of right now, we have done 5 monthly podcasts that are the Heartfelt Club Clubhouse podcasts. We've done 5 of those, and one of them was a woman where she shared her experience with actually losing her father to suicide. So I will say, like, some of the episodes are very raw, but I think it's something that's important to see because you never know who it's going to touch and how it can help them.
Right. Now, some of these folks let's just say they're clients or whatever you want to call them, people that are in need of this service.
Mm-hmm.
How disheveled are they, and how long does it take to bring them back? Or I should say how long,
Mm-hmm.
but is this been successful turning these guys around? That's what I want. That's the question I want to ask.
There it is. Yes. So first I'll touch on our 2 men of the month. So we had a man of the month in August, and we just finished up our man of the month in December. So both of them came to the Heartfelt Club looking for very different things out of therapy. And both of them were a little bit hesitant once they stepped in and completed their course. So they actually did it through the app called BetterHelp, which is also really interesting to see. I've only done therapy in person, so to see it on an app is really exciting. And back to both of our guys. So they let me know that, not only was this like life-changing and they're going to continue with therapy,
right,
but it kind of altered their ability to cope even if they don't continue with therapy, right? Because you're given this toolkit and you can kind of see potentially where you're getting depressed, and you can better level out that drop in emotion.
Okay, so I consider myself pretty emotionally intelligent. Now, there's sometimes I get jammed up, but how do you, doesn't the body and the mind just naturally sort of let bad things go? Your mind, almost like when you get a cut. Let's say you get a cut on your arm. Okay, if you keep picking at it, it's going to take a long time to heal. I equate that to things that, to mental health. If you don't irritate your mind or your soul or what have you, it's probably going to heal, right?
Yes.
There's got to be some grain of truth to that.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's a really interesting analogy. And I would want to answer this question in 2 parts. So first, there is, let's take depression, for example. There's situational depression and there's chronic. So situational, you and I we will experience. Everyone will experience in their life. That's, a divorce, new job, moving colleges, whatever may have you. And then there's chronic, which is actually, a chemical imbalance. It's more consistent and things like that. So the second part of how I'll answer this question is, let's say, your mental health is like a cut on your arm, right? And you're just constantly picking at it. The Band-Aid would potentially be that therapy.
Right. So you couldn't pick at it.
Yeah, because then you're not.
You got some really great analogies there. You're pretty quick.
Why? Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I read a lot of books. But yeah, so one thing that's really interesting that I've taken away from therapy, is people are like, well, therapy won't change your past. It's, what happened happened, so get over it to an extent. And
that's what they used to say when we were growing up.
Yeah, right. This is what my dad and I talk about all the time. He's like, okay, well, like, get over it. It's like, I'm trying, Dad. No, but so they say that therapy, it's not really to like alter your past by any means.
No.
But it's going back and finding a new perspective from it, right?
Because
say you were the first time you went to public speak and someone was like, hey, break a leg, and you took it seriously. And so then you went out there and you were all nervous because you're like, am I going to break my leg? What's going to happen? And then you talk to someone else about it and they're like, no, that's like a saying, like they're saying good luck, right? So now you have a new person.
I would say I'd need an attitude adjustment if I was, you know, that's
Yeah.
another whole deal. I can't stand walking on eggshells around people that take stuff. Oh my God.
Way
You know,
too
because
serious.
people have in their unconscious minds, they equate certain personalities, like personalities, as somebody that may have upset them in the past,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and then they're going to equate that, and then they're going to get a little bit of an attitude. I shouldn't say attitude, a pushback,
Yeah.
or they're going to get a perception in their mind, like you said, break a leg. Like depends who says it to you, right?
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Right. So, mini Tony Robbins here.
Yes, no, exactly. So I think a lot of mental health and emotional intelligence, it comes from, obviously knowledge, but like you said, a good portion of that is mentality. So being able to say like, hey, I'm not good today, or hey, I'm actually going through something, and owning
Right.
that as your reality is a really impressive mentality to have that honestly can shorten the amount of distress you feel, right? Because if your cut on your arm just keeps bleeding and you just ignore it, it's going to bleed for longer than if you just put a band-aid on there and accept that there's a cut
Right.
there.
Right. Or the platelets just coagulate and it stops bleeding.
Yeah.
Unless it's
Or
a
you
deep
bleed
cut.
out.
Unless it's a deep cut.
Exactly.
You should know about injuries since you're in the sports world.
Oh yeah, man.
By the way, what kind, have you ever broken your leg or?
You know what? I have not had any like super severe injuries. I do have compartment syndrome, so my calves cramp really bad.
Oh, gee, that's
But
not too bad.
yeah, but this is the mentality thing. This is the only time I ignore stuff. I pretend my calves don't cramp.
Well, that could be because you're nervous too, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But if that's all that happens, that's so, you know, before I would even have any kind of mental breakdown or anything or what have you, like I've had things on my mind. I mean,
Mhm.
like my father died 3 years ago, and
Mhm.
I it was a little bit of a surprise because um he got caught sepsis in the hospital.
Wow.
But the thing was, one day I was in the Y working out, talking to some guy about it. Something must have triggered something, and I got like a rash all over my body. It was really weird.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was my reaction. I mean, I ran over to the Walgreens and said, "What's going on here?" And they said, "Well, it's probably just stress." They said, "Get some Benadryl." I said, "Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm going home." And it cleared up after a couple hours, but it was like weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's very interesting is, you know, your physical and your mental and your emotional are all in sync. Because let's
Or
say,
they
for
should be.
instance,
Yeah.
yeah, so you get really angry, right? Your jaw will clench. And if you keep that anger, you can oftentimes like start to feel that fatigue. Like your body will get fatigued when you keep certain emotions inside.
That's
Um,
right.
which is why, yoga and new therapies are emerging, like art therapy, yoga, dance therapy. So it's really interesting how we as humans are adjusting to kind of address all these different
Right.
ailments, if you will.
Yeah, there's, I mean, all that interprets to like, you know, you go outside and rake leaves in your yard or what have you, and it lets off. It is a therapy because you're moving, right? My
Yes.
mother goes out and does that a lot. She works in the yard. She sweeps. She says it really relaxes her mind. She sweeps the darn driveway, and it's a pretty long driveway. I'm
That's
like, you know, I
awesome.
can come over and blow the leaves out for you. No, I want to sweep.
Cute. Love that. So what is your maybe, mental health decompression technique?
Well, I have this ability to typically, I don't know, just sort of meditate and let it go.
Nice.
Now, there's some times where I get frustrated and have to kick something, an inanimate object or what have you. what I say is don't suppress anything. Try
Yes.
not to suppress, because that's what builds all this up. And I've been pretty bad. I've had some things that have come up recently where either I didn't really want to face a little bit of pain, or I suppressed or didn't meditate about it. And meditate, I'm using lightly, because basically I'm not sitting, with an incense with my legs crossed and, listening to Ravi Shankar or something.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, I try to, if you catch it right at the onset, just sort of meditate and let it go.
Yes.
Process it, probably a good word.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
That's actually really impressive, because a lot of people, instead of going through the emotion, like it sounds like you're doing, they kind of try and go around it. Or as you said,
I've been guilty of that too, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it does not work.
Face the music.
Yep.
You can't cheat it. There ain't no way. So that's really interesting, Brianna, that you've got this cause. So let me ask you this. Why did you find it necessary to learn 4 languages? I'm saying 4 because I'm not really counting sign language as it is a language.
Yes, that's fair.
It's there's another classification for it, but anyway, 5 different dialects, or I shouldn't say dialects, but 5 hard languages. Why is this a hobby of yours?
Yeah, so I would say honestly a huge part is the amount I've traveled for soccer.
Okay.
So each country I've lived in, I try and learn the language.
Gotcha.
When I lived in Italy, it was like just so nice to teach myself a language. Like learning Italian was fantastic. And so it kind of made me realize that, oh snap, I love learning languages. So I just kept it up, and I'm hoping to, if I go back to Iceland, as I intend to, I want to try to learn Icelandic. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
So, there's one thing, I took Spanish when I was in junior high, then high school, and then some in college. Can I speak it fluently? Not really. I can read it and write it, but you have to, the question is, with these languages, you have to think in those languages too, which is another dimension.
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes, I would say the ones that I struggle with would be French and Romanian. But aside from that,
Well, that's a big dichotomy. French
and
that's a big despair. French and Romanian, those are polar opposites.
Completely, yes. So Romanian is definitely it's tricky, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it can be a really beautiful language. Yeah. And as of right now, I actually get to practice Spanish at work all the time, and my coach here in California only speaks Spanish, so it proves to be
really.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Why do they do that?
That's a great question. I'm not sure, but honestly, I'm so used to it because every country I go to, traditionally the coaches speak that country or that language, and so then I just have to pick it up, which is another thing, like speaking.
Well, no, I get that, but your coach.
Yeah, in California.
I would assume there's a lot of Americans on the team, are there?
Oh yeah, down here in California.
Well, yes. Then what if those other?
We just translate, honestly, for the other girls.
Oh.
Yeah, which is totally fine. It's been really interesting. But I think with languages, along with, kind of anything, you have to be willing to make those mistakes. So when I was in Costa Rica and learning Spanish, my host families were like super impressed that I was willing to try my hardest to speak Spanish and get it completely wrong. And then they could coach me, because most people don't try because they get afraid to do that, and then it's harder to learn.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, we are getting towards the tail end of the show, and I can't find my outro. What happens is, let me see if I can escape out of here. That's not going to happen either. Oh, here we go. Now I can do it.
Now we're cooking.
Yeah, we are. We're sort of cooking. Let me get rid of this and bring in my outro. But Brianna, I got to tell you, very, very good thing that you're doing here.
Yay. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to see where it goes, and I'm happy to see
Whoops.
impacted lives. So
Yeah, no, that's very good. And I think we can have you on another show here and maybe have you on as a if we can, if there's another subject that you are versed in motivation wise, then I'll be glad to have you on the show again.
yay, that would be fantastic.
But you got a great personality and you got a great cause there, and obviously it's working, and I
Yeah.
can see it getting bigger, so that's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah, so did I. Time just whizzed right on by.
No.
Well, we are going to end the show, and once again, this show is brought to you by Leader Speakers, and as you heard on the show, that the name also implies it too. We are a public speaking training company. We handle all aspects of public speaking, any kind of trepidation or any confidence you need, trying to be more effective. We handle all aspects of public speaking potential. And then Brianna, once again, has a. I'm just going to go ahead and let her outro here, or let her wind up what her, or summarize what her business is, and then
Yes. So thank you so much for letting me share my message. We are the Heartfelt Club, and we are here to stop the stigma around men's mental health by starting the discussion while simultaneously raising awareness and funds for donation.
very
Go out
nice.
there and be more heartfelt.
Very nice. She's even got a slogan. Okay, folks, we will see you next week with another great show, and keep on listening.